Hi students. In this session, let me discuss about some aspects of qualitative analysis of cations. Whatever I am going to discuss, whatever points I will touch, none of the points is new to you. You know everything, but whatever we discussed in our previous classes, the same content, but I will show you in from a different angle. That's it. So the topic heading is separation of cations, identification and separation of cations, and I am going to talk only about cations. And I am repeating the topic heading, identification and separation. So when we studied this qualitative analysis for the first time in our regular classes, we studied about identification, but we did not emphasize on separation. Now, when you know all the tests for identification, you can easily understand the separation part also. In separation, you don't require any new reagents or new reactions. The same reactions which we used in identification. In fact, not all of them, only some of them. So we use some of them, and we will see using them how to separate the cations. So it is the identification and separation simultaneously. Separation of cations. Okay. Now actually before I start analyzing this particular topic, first let me tell you 2 or 3 important points which will help you later. So the first point is regarding color. Okay, suppose in a question it is given blue color, blue colored solution or blue colored salt, so something related to blue color. So which particular cation or which particular salt strikes your mind whenever you see the blue color? Okay, now Cu plus 2 aqueous. Now all Cu plus 2 aqueous solutions are blue in color, no matter whatever may be the ligand. The ligand can be water, the ligand can be ammonia. So whatever may be the ligand, Cu plus 2 salts are blue in color. And if you remember, even NiNH3 taken 6 times plus 2, nickel ammonia complex. This is also deep blue in color. Copper ammonia complex is anyway deep blue in color, but nickel ammonia complex is also deep blue in color. Okay, so these are the some of the salts or solutions which are blue in color. Now, if you come to green, and you know Cr plus 3, Ni plus 2. If you remember nickel hydroxide, green in color, nickel cyanide, NiCN taken twice, green in color. Okay, and if you remember, even manganate ion, MnO4 minus 2 is green in color. So chromium salts, nickel salts, manganate salts, K2MnO4 for example. So they are all green in color. Actually, in the first case, blue color, I told you the aqueous solutions. Aqueous solution of Cu plus 2 and aqueous solution of this nickel ammonia complex, they are blue in color. But in the second point, I am saying the salts, even the salts are green in color in the solid state. nickel salt in the solid state, chromium salt in the solid state, manganate salt in the solid state, they are green in color. Now if you come to even Fe plus 2, I can add here Fe plus 2 also, manganate and Fe plus 2 salts. And I am not talking about the aqueous solutions here. So I am talking about the salts in the solid state. Now if you come to yellow, then here Fe plus 3 salts, chromate CrO4 minus 2, then FeCN6 minus 4, hexacyanoferrate 2, we have FeCN6 minus 3, hexacyanoferrate 3, but ferrocyanide and ferricyanide, if you come to the common nomenclature, both are yellow in color. So Fe plus 3 salts, chromate salts and these two complexes, the solutions of these ions are yellow in color. Solutions, I am not talking about salts, and you know already maximum of the ferric salts are red in color. Ferric hydroxide, ferric cyanide, FeCN thrice. So in this point I am not talking about salts, I am only talking about solutions. And you know chromate, some of the chromates are red in color, salts, but chromate ion when it is in solution it is always yellow in color. So this is regarding aqueous solutions. The second one is regarding salts, solid state. I am not talking about aqueous solutions in the second point, that means green color. And if you come to this yellow color examples, all these are in solutions, water, they are in water. Okay. Now then you can come to orange, red. Then we have one famous ion here, you all know, that is dichromate, Cr2O7 minus 2, aqueous, again aqueous, because some dichromates are red in color, silver dichromate, Ag2Cr2O7 solid form, because that is not soluble in water, so that solid is red color. Okay, so here aqueous dichromate, as long as dichromate ion is in water in a solution, so it is orange red in color. Then we can see purple. In purple you can take permanganate, aqueous. Aqueous solutions of permanganate are purple in color. Then if you come to pink, then CO plus 2 aqueous solutions, Mn plus 2 aqueous solutions, they are pink in color. So solutions of CO plus 2 and Mn plus 2. So these are pink in color. So this is about something about roughly, briefly about the colors. So actually in JEE Advanced, most of the times the question, inorganic question, particularly the roadmap question starts like this: compound A, which is green in color, compound A, which is black in color, compound A, which is white in color. So when you have a rough idea about these colors, you can start that question confidently. That means you will get some information, 10%, 15% information from the color itself. So then you can confirm the information. Whatever idea you get by seeing the color, you can confirm it later, because in the question ahead there are so many properties given regarding that compound A. So you can confirm it. Okay. And here this is first point, color, and second point, okay, all of you, some salts, aqueous solutions of some salts are basic, and aqueous solutions of some salts are acidic. This is another information generally given in the question. One is color and second one is basic or acidic in nature. So he says that aqueous solution of A, which is green in color, is alkaline, is acidic. is neutral. So what type of salts are basic and what type of salts are acidic in qualitative analysis? So it's very simple. Suppose you are having hydroxides, NaOH, KOH, BaOH twice. You all know they are bases. On the other hand, if you have HCl, H2SO4, HNO3, they are all acids. Actually, in qualitative analysis, we don't study about pure bases, hydroxides and pure acids like HCl, H2SO4. We will study about salts. And you all know about salt hydrolysis. Now you can easily guess which salt can be basic and which salt can be neutral and which salt can be acidic. It's not a big deal. So what type of salts are basic? The salts whose anions undergo hydrolysis. The salts whose anions are conjugate bases of weak acids. And conjugate base of a weak acid in water combines with H plus and making OH minus free. So the resultant solution becomes alkaline. Okay. So what type of examples, what examples we have for this kind of salts? Salts having anions, conjugate bases of some weak acids as anions. Okay. Now we have sulfides, carbonates, CO3 2 minus, phosphates, cyanides, etc. So these salts are basic. You dissolve them. If they are soluble in water, they combine with water and they take up H plus and making the OH minus free. So the resultant solution becomes alkaline. So these are the basic salts. Now if you come to acidic salts, now it is the hydrolysis of the cation, cationic hydrolysis. Now in salt analysis, we have seen so many cations, Ag plus, Hg2 plus, Pb plus 2, Mn plus 2, CO plus 2, Na plus, Fe plus 3, Cr plus 3. So almost around 15 cations we have studied. We have studied the reactions of 15 cations and you tell me which of these cations undergoes hydrolysis, thereby making the solution acidic. And let me take up some examples. Fe plus 3, almost all the group 3 cations. The best example is group 3 cations. Fe plus 3. Fe plus 3 in water exists as an aqua complex and that aqua complex dissociates partially and you will get Fe H2O taken 5 times OH plus 2 plus H plus. Similarly chromium salt, similarly aluminum salt. So all of them make the solution acidic by releasing H plus. That means first they combine with water. Whenever you dissolve ferric salt or chromium salt or aluminum salt in water, what happens? They dissociate first, then immediately they combine with water, complex formation. Coordination number of all the 3, 6. So hexa aqua complexes. Then because of the polarizing power of that cation, Fe plus 3, Al plus 3 and Cr plus 3. Because of the high polarizing power of those cations, they withdraw electron density from oxygen, the ligand, to a great extent, and as a result there is a partial positive charge on oxygen. The partial positive charge on oxygen is so high that the oxygen gets rid of H plus. So such to that extent Fe plus 3, Al plus 3 and Cr plus 3 polarizes the oxygen. Oxygen should liberate H plus. There is so much positive charge on oxygen. So it liberates H plus and it decreases the partial positive charge. So acidic. The complex behaves as an acidic compound. So Fe plus 3, Cr plus 3 and Al plus 3. These are the examples for acidic solutions. Okay. Now suppose the compound A is given. Suppose there is a question. Compound A is given and that particular aqueous solution of that salt is yellow in color, then that information is followed by another information, the aqueous solution is acidic in nature. See, first is yellow in color, the aqueous solution is yellow in color. Then he is saying that that aqueous solution is acidic in nature. So Fe plus 3 is almost confirmed, because Cr plus 3 solutions are not yellow in color. Al plus 3 solutions are colorless, you know that already. Aqueous solutions of Al plus 3 are colorless. So yellow in color and acidic in nature, that means yes, Fe plus 3 is almost confirmed. So actually this is the reason why I am giving you this preliminary information. Okay, and here there is the third point. You have already seen this actually, the point which I am going to tell you. Now suppose there are some precipitates. See, in qualitative analysis you will see so many precipitates, and we already discussed actually, I already told you that the precipitate is soluble in which reagent. This aspect of qualitative analysis is very important, particularly in JEE Advanced. See, you are getting a white precipitate and that white precipitate is soluble in. You are getting a red precipitate. For example, FeSCN taken thrice, blood red colored PPT. Now that is soluble in. So ZnOH twice, white gelatinous precipitate. So that is soluble in. So solubility aspect is very important in JEE Advanced. So suppose if you take a particular precipitate, that is FeOH thrice, you almost immediately will get this precipitate, reddish brown precipitate. KSP value of FeOH thrice is very, very small, 10 power minus 34 or 33. So solubility of FeOH thrice is very, very less, very, very less. But you can make it soluble in acid. So you can make FeOH thrice soluble in HNO3, and as a result you will get Fe plus 3 plus NO3 minus plus water, and that is because of acid base reaction between H plus and OH minus. And you know, reaction between H plus and OH minus, that is the equilibrium constant of that reaction is 10 power 14. Now we have, for example, CrOH thrice, green in color. Now you can make it soluble in HNO3, and you will get Cr plus 3 plus NO3 minus plus water, again acid base reaction. So carbonates, phosphates, sulfides, hydroxides, some of these compounds are soluble in acidic solutions, not all of them. For example, if you come to sulfide, only few sulfides are soluble in acid, and majority of the sulfides are not soluble in acids, mineral acids. I am not talking about HNO3. You can make almost every sulfide soluble in HNO3. That is a different case. But these majority of these sulfides are not soluble in HCl. They are not soluble in H2SO4. But they are soluble in HNO3 because of redox reaction, not because of acid base reaction. Now suppose if you have a sulfide, that is Bi2S3, bismuth, sulfide of bismuth. Now you treat this compound with HNO3. Now you will get Bi plus 3, you will get sulfur, you will get NO, and you will get water. Now this is a redox reaction. This is not because of any acid base reaction. This is because of redox reaction. Of course, there may be some acid base reaction also, but the main driving force of this reaction is a redox reaction. Now if you come to HGS, HGS is not soluble in HNO3, but HGS is soluble in aqua regia. Now you take HCl plus HNO3, and as a result HgCl2 is formed, undissociated salt, one of the few undissociated salts, HgCl2. HgCl2 goes into water as HgCl2. It does not break into Hg plus 2 and Cl minus. You know that already. And solubility of HgCl2 is appreciable. Okay. Plus sulfur, plus NO. So HGS is soluble in only aqua regia. Some of the sulfides are soluble only in HNO3 and not other acids. But some sulfides are soluble in any acid. For example, MNS, ZNS. MNS is soluble even in HCl. So you will get Mn plus 2 plus Cl minus plus H2S. And MNS is soluble in acid purely because of acid-base reaction. Bi2S3 is soluble in HNO3 mainly because of redox reaction. And HGS is soluble in aqua regia because of two driving forces. One driving force is redox, you see, redox reaction, sulfur and nitric oxide. Another driving force is formation of undissociated HgCl2. That means two covalent bonds are formed for each HgCl2. That is one driving force. So, those salts which are basic, sulfides, carbonates, phosphates, cyanides, some of these compounds, some of these so-called basic salts are soluble in acids. So, this is one thing about solubility. So, you try to remember, all of you, this basic information actually. This will help you in solving the question in less amount of time with more confidence. And we require both of these two are very much required in the exam hall. One is less amount of time is precious, and second one is confidence. So, if you want both of them, then yes, this preliminary information is very much useful to you. Now, let us start the actual topic, identification as well as separation of cations. And I already told you identification part that all of you are already confident. Now, let me show you the separation part, and let me repeat one point which I have already told you. For separation, we don't require any new reaction. Some of the reactions which we have studied in identification are useful here. We will use only some of the reactions which we have studied during identification. Okay. So, be comfortable, be confident, all of you. You are not going to learn any new reaction. Maybe one or two out of 20 or 25 reactions which I use here, maybe one or two are new to you. That's it. Okay. So, in a test tube, we have all the cations which we have studied. Okay. So, that means in that particular test tube, we have Pb plus 2. We have Ag plus, we have Hg2 2 plus, we have Bi plus 3, Hg plus 2, Cd plus 2, Cu plus 2, then Sn plus 2, Sn plus 4, As plus 3 and As plus 5, Sb plus 3 and Sb plus 5, Fe plus 3, Al plus 3, Cr plus 3, Ni plus 2, Mn plus 2, we have Co plus 2, Zn plus 2, Ba plus 2, Ca plus 2, Mg plus 2, Sr plus 2, K plus, Na plus, NH4 plus. Suppose in a test tube, we have all these cations and you are not worried about the anions. Now, our task is to separate all of them. One by one we have to separate. by using suitable reagents, by getting precipitates. So we will separate all of these cations. Actually, out of these cations, you all know group 2B cations. So these cations are not there in the JEE syllabus. So I won't tell you how they are separated. In detail, I am not going to discuss about those particular cations. And the rest, all the cations I am showing you how to separate them. How can we separate them? Using the old reactions I already told you. I am not going to take up almost even a single new reaction. Okay. So here the first point is, before we start the separation, just all of you recall about this NH4 plus. So NH4 plus identification and separation. Identification as well as separation. Both can be done with the help of Nessler's reagent. So NH4 plus K2HgI4, and you will get HgO, brown color HgO, HgNH2I. And you won't get any gas evolution and all that in the case of Nessler's reagent particularly. So at the beginning, let us test for NH4 plus with Nessler's reagent, and with that the NH4 plus is both identified as well as separated, because this is precipitate, brown colored precipitate. Okay, so that is all about NH4 plus. Now see, now you take this particular solution which contains all these solutions, all these cations, and now what you do? You add HCl, 1 molar, 2 molar HCl. This is our first reagent. We will add HCl. So if you add HCl, then what happens? Some of these cations get precipitated. So you will get a residue. You can also write it here, precipitate and filtrate. Some cations remain in the aqueous solution because chlorides of some of the cations are soluble. They are quite soluble. They don't get precipitated. So they remain in solution. But chlorides of some of these cations are insoluble. So they get precipitated. And you know, chlorides of some of these cations are insoluble, and those cations are put in group 1. So residue contains PbCl2, but PbCl2 is not completely precipitated. Some of the Pb plus 2 still remains in the solution. So some of the Pb plus 2 will be there in the filtrate, and some of the Pb plus 2 will get precipitated. So in the case of Pb plus 2, you all know that precipitation is not complete. Okay, then you will have Hg2Cl2, you will have AgCl. So this is the residue you will get, precipitate. And you know, actually all the three are white in color, so it looks white. Now what you do next, if you want to separate, okay, let me do one thing here. Let me number this filtrate, that is 2. I am not numbering 1. Because with this filtrate we will go to group 2. Group 1 cations, they got already precipitated. So let me call it as residue 1. Actually here 1 and 2, they 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever numbers I give here, residue number 1, residue number 3, filtrate 2, filtrate 3, filtrate 4, whatever numbers I am giving the group numbers. So we will proceed to group 2 with this filtrate. So I am giving it the number 2, not 1. And this residue contains the cations of the group 1. So I have given the number, I have given it the number 1. Okay. So here what we do, we add boiling water to this precipitate. And you all know PbCl2 solubility is less at room temperature, but PbCl2 solubility is quite high at high temperature. PbCl2 is a quite soluble salt at 70 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Celsius. So if you keep this precipitate in boiling water, then again this is divided into two parts. One is filtrate, another one is residue. So let me write here filtrate. Let me not give any number to it, just filtrate, and you will get Pb plus 2 here. And to this Pb plus 2, if you add CrO4 minus 2, you will get yellow in color. PbCrO4, which is yellow in color. So Pb plus 2 is both separated and identified. Now it is complete. NH4 plus already over. So with Nessler's reagent we did that. And you see now Pb plus 2 is separated, and you see very clearly all of you that the filtrate, here the filtrate which you got does not contain any other cation except Pb plus 2. That is what is separation. And if you want to identify that Pb plus 2, okay, Pb plus 2 is colorless actually. As long as it is in the solution, Pb plus 2 does not have any color. So if you want to confirm it whether it is Pb plus 2 or not, yes, you can do some test. Chromate, yellow in color. Iodine, you can add iodine, so that is yellow in color. You can add SO4 minus 2, white in color. So you can confirm it. Now come this side. So we have here residue. Again, let me not give any number to this residue. So this residue contains Hg2Cl2 sorry, and AgCl. Now what we do? We add ammonia. So all of you recall what happens to AgCl if you add ammonia? AgCl precipitate. What happens to Hg2Cl2 if you add ammonia? If you remember, Hg2 plus forms a black colored precipitate with ammonia. And AgCl, the white colored precipitate AgCl is quite soluble in ammonia, even in dilute ammonia. So these two will be separated. You will get mercury gets separated as the black colored PPT. Ag plus will remain in the solution. Ag plus will remain in the solution. So separated. So when you add ammonia, then you will get the filtrate, and that filtrate is AgNH3 taken twice plus. Okay, and on the other hand we will get a residue, and that residue is black in color and its composition is Hg dot HgNH2Cl, and it is black in color and it is colorless. That complex is colorless. Now let me give you some information, some interesting points about this particular complex, AgNH3 twice plus. Let me write it here. Actually here I am not writing anything about this filtrate 2. I will start my next discussion with filtrate 2. I will move on to the group 2. Now this AgNH3 twice plus. Okay. So how do you know that that complex is there? See, cation which gives black colored PPT with ammonia fixed, that is Hg2 plus, mercurous. There is no confusion. And boiling water, if you boil it, then the ion which gets separated is Pb plus 2. And if you want to further confirm it, yeah, we have confirmatory test. That is no problem. Pb plus 2 is separated, confirmed. Hg2 plus is separated, confirmed. Now, in this filtrate, we are expecting that okay, AgNH3 taken twice plus is there. But how can you confirm it? Simple. Now, you add HNO3 to this, HNO3, and you will get a white precipitate, AgCl plus NH4 plus NO3 minus, NH4 NO3. So you will get a white precipitate. All of you see, a complex is broken. Complex is broken because of the acid-base reaction. One more important point here. The same complex AgNH3 taken twice plus reacts with Ki, and you will get AgI plus ammonia plus K plus. So silver ammonia complex can be broken, can be destroyed with HNO3 because of acid base reaction, and the same complex can also be broken with I minus, where two driving forces are there here. No, sorry, only one driving force, that is AgI precipitate. And all of you recall one important point: if you have AgI and if you add ammonia to this, now the AgI precipitate, which is yellow in color, do you think it is soluble in ammonia? AgI, no, not in dilute ammonia, not in concentrated ammonia. AgI is soluble only in Cn minus and S2O3 minus 2, hypo. AgI is not soluble in ammonia. That means this reaction is unfavorable. This reaction is shifted in the backward direction. That is AgNH3 taken twice plus I minus. So this reaction is not favorable, and the same reaction I have written in the opposite direction here. So that is favorable. So AgNH3 twice plus can be broken down with Ki with HNO3. So now you can confirm that in this test tube whether Ag plus ammonia complex is present or not. You can confirm that with these two, with the help of these two reagents. So now successfully we have confirmed and identified 3 cations in this analysis. And at the beginning already we have confirmed the NH4 plus and separated it. Now once you add Nessler's reagent and if you get that precipitate, then NH4 plus is separated. It is no more in the solution. We have separated that. We have separated here Pb plus 2. Here we have separated Hg22 plus with the help of ammonia. We have separated Ag plus. And you see, here I have not used any new reaction. Now let us go to that filtrate. Now that filtrate 2 contains the cations from here, all cations, of course except NH4 plus. We have already separated NH4 plus with the help of that Nessler's reagent. So we have from Bi plus 3 to Na plus, all of them. Yeah, maybe some amount of Pb plus 2 also, some small amount of Pb plus 2. Because the entire amount of Pb plus 2 does not get precipitated with the help of HCl, you know that. Okay. Now to that filtrate 2, now I am adding H2S. And already in that test tube, we have added HCl first to separate the 3 cations. Now we are adding H2S, keeping the medium acidic. Okay. So now what happens? When you add H2S, then you will get the filtrate residue, and you will get filtrate 3. With this I will move on to group 3. Now I am not talking anything about this now. I will move on to group 3 later. Now come to residue, and let me number this residue 2. Residue 2. And this residue contains sulfides of group 2A. Group 2A means small amount of Pb plus 2, Bi plus 3, Hg2 plus, Cu2 plus, Cd plus 2. Sulfides of these, and sulfides of even group 2B. As plus 3, As plus 5, Sn plus 2, Sn plus 4, Sb plus 3, Sb plus 5. So residue contains sulfides of these cations from here to here. And you all know the H2S in the presence of HCl is the group 2 reagent. You all know that. So now these cations are separated. Now in the filtrate 3 contains from here to here, Na plus. We will talk about it later. Now come to the residue. So residue contains cations of 2 groups actually, group 2A and group 2B. Now what we do? We treat this residue with NH4 twice S. And in this particular reagent, all the group 2B sulfides are soluble, and this is the filtrate. Let me not give any number to that. Here we have SB plus 3, SB plus 5, SN plus 2, SN plus 4, AS plus 3 and AS plus 5. And I am not going into the details of that filtrate. Now how do you separate all those cations, because that particular set of cations is not there in the syllabus. So I am ignoring that particular filtrate. Now come to the residue. Group 2A sulfides are not soluble in the reagent, that is ammonium sulfide. In fact, it is ammonium polysulfide, SN. So they remain as sulfides only. So here you will have Bi2S3, this is the residue. We have CuS, we have CuCdS, which is yellow in color, and we have small amount of PbS also. Now this is the residue. Now with this residue we should proceed further. Now we should separate Bi plus 3, we should separate Cu plus 2, we should separate Cd plus 2, Pb plus 2, like this. So I am taking that residue here separately, and let me show you how can we separate those cations. So let me start with that residue. Which contains Bi2S3, CuS, CdS and PbS. This is the residue. Now how can you separate them? All of you recall, what are all the reactions of this Bi plus 2, this Cu plus 2, Cd plus 2 and Pb plus 2. So what are the reactions of these cations? And one more thing, these cations are in the form of sulfides now. They are in the precipitate, they are not in the aqueous solution. Please remember all of you. Now first what we do is, we will bring all of them into the aqueous solution. And that is possible when you treat, we have actually HGS also. That also belongs to group 2A, HGS. Mercuric sulfide, that is also there. So now what we do, we treat this compound with this residue with HNO3. PbS is soluble in HNO3, Bi2S3 is soluble in HNO3, CuS is soluble in HNO3, CdS is soluble in HNO3, but not HGS. HGS is soluble only in aqua regia, and I have not taken aqua regia here, I have taken only HNO3. So here what happens, you will get filtrate and residue. Now the filtrate contains, this is the filtrate, and this contains Bi plus 3, Pb plus 2, small amount, Cu plus 2 and Cd plus 2. Okay, and the residue contains HGS, because HGS is not soluble in HNO3. And you know HGS is black in color, and this HGS is soluble in aqua regia. Let us make it soluble in aqua regia, and you will, as a result, you will get HgCl2. I am not writing the other products. You will get NO, you will get sulfur, water, etc. But I am only writing the HgCl2. Now I will add, and you know, no color to HgCl2. it is quite soluble in water. And now I am adding SnCl2 to this. You know this reaction. So first HgCl2 is converted into Hg2Cl2, and if further you add SnCl2, more amount of SnCl2, you will get Hg. And this Hg2Cl2 is white in color, and this Hg is grey in color. Separated? Now you know the test tube in which we have taken this residue, in that only HGS is there, nothing else. And HGS is confirmed like this, okay, whether it is Hg or something else, it can be confirmed like this. First you bring that mercury into solution so that we can do further tests. So we have dissolved it in aqua regia, then SnCl2, then white color is converted into grey color if you add sufficient amount of SnCl2. Now mercury ion is separated. Now you come here. Now let me add ammonia. Now first let me add actually H2SO4. And in this particular mixture, only PbSO4 is insoluble. The sulfates of the other cations, bismuth, copper, cadmium, they are soluble. So what happens when you add H2SO4? You will get the residue. This side let me write down. That is, residue means precipitate. That is PbSO4. So successfully whatever small amount of Pb plus 2 is there, that is separated. And it is white in color, you know. And we have the filtrate. And the filtrate contains Bi plus 3, Cu plus 2 and Cd plus 2. Now let me add ammonia. And when you add ammonia, BiOH thrice is precipitated, which is white in color. And the filtrate contains Cu plus 2 and Cd plus 2. Actually Cu plus 2 and Cd plus 2, they are not in a free state because we have added ammonia. So they are in the form of complexes. CuNH3 taken 4 times plus 2 and CdNH3 taken 4 times plus 2. And the solution is blue in color. The resultant solution is blue in color because of the copper complex. And this BiOH thrice is white in color. Okay. Now, what can you do with this bismuth? If it is sufficient, okay, white in color, bismuth is separated. If you are satisfied with that, then you can stop there. But you can, if you want to proceed further and if you want to confirm it further, then we can do one thing. We can dissolve this precipitate in any acid like HNO3. And you know, hydroxides are generally soluble in acids. So you will get Bi plus 3. And to that Bi plus 3, if you add the same SnCl2, you will get the black precipitate, that is elemental bismuth. It is black in color. Now you can go further like that. So first you will get white PPT, then you bring that Bi plus 3 into solution, then you add Sn plus 2. Actually, in the case of bismuth ion, Bi plus 3, we add Sn plus 2 in alkaline medium. So we don't add SnCl2 actually. We add SnO2 minus 2. Or else you can write it like this also. SnOH taken 4 times minus 2. Both are same. So please remember, this is one very important difference. HgCl2 with Sn plus 2. There you can add SnCl2. But Bi plus 3 Sn plus 2. There you will add Sn plus 2 in basic medium. So in basic medium, Sn plus 2 is converted into either this ion, stannite, or this one complex, hydroxide complex. But anyway, finally you will get the black PPT. So this is how we separate the Bi plus 3. Now about these two, Cu and cadmium. Now let me discuss about those two there. Okay, now you are having the filtrate. And that filtrate contains CuNH3 taken 4 times plus 2 and CdNH3 taken 4 times plus 2. Now to this you add K4FeCN6 and you will get again the residue and the precipitate. The residue contains, say, chocolate brown colored PPT, Cu2FeCN6. It is brown in color. This is the residue. So copper is separated as well as confirmed. It is separated as well as confirmed. No other cation gives brown colored PPT with potassium ferrocyanide. Only Cu plus 2 gives. So it is confirmed. And to the filtrate, this is the filtrate. And to that filtrate, you add, it contains actually, first let me write down what does it contain. CdNH3 taken 4 times plus 2. Now to this you add first KCN, then H2S. You will get yellow colored PPT, that is CDS. If you remember, this complex can easily be broken. CdCN taken 4 times minus 2 can easily be broken by H2S. That complex is destroyed with the help of H2S. You will get CDS, yellow colored PPT plus HCN. So to the filtrate, if you add KCN, first when you add KCN, then this complex is converted into cyanide complex, and then if you add H2S, then you will get yellow PPT. Because cyanide complex, cadmium cyanide complex is unstable to H2S. It is the difference between copper and cadmium. Copper cyanide complex is quite stable to H2S. It won't decompose. H2S cannot decompose copper cyanide complex, but H2S can easily decompose cadmium cyanide complex. And we have separated copper and cadmium. Now you see, the residue which we have here actually, after separating the group 2B cations, then that is treated first with HNO3, residue filtrate. In residue, the HGS will be there and you confirm it. Then in the filtrate we have 4 ions, first we separate Pb plus 2 in the form of sulfate. Then we add ammonia to the filtrate. Bi plus 3 is precipitated as hydroxide, and the other 2 cations will remain in the filtrate, and those 2 cations can be separated like this. So with this actually group 2A cations are both identified as well as separated. Confirmation as well as separation, both were achieved. Group 1 cations separated, group 2A cations separated, group 3B cations also separated, although we have not seen the detailed separation of group 2B, but they were also separated. So now in this filtrate 3, we have group 3 cations, Fe plus 3, Cr plus 3, Al plus 3. Group 4 cations, Mn plus 2, Co plus 2, Zn plus 2, Ni plus 2. Group 5 cations, barium, calcium, strontium. And group 6, Na plus, K plus, Mg plus 2. Okay, we have such a filtrate. So to this filtrate, let me add NH4OH, NH4Cl, group 3 reagent. So we will get a filtrate. Only some of the cations are precipitated as hydroxides. So this is, let me write down here itself. So we have filtrate 4, and with that we will move on to group 4. So we will see it about it later. Okay, now we have residue, and this is the residue number 3. So with that reagent we will get the residue, and the residue contains FeOH thrice, AlOH thrice, and CrOH thrice. FeOH thrice reddish brown in color, CrOH thrice green in color, AlOH thrice white in color. Now, suppose if you add to this residue H2O2 in alkaline medium, NaOH. So what happens? If you add NaOH or if you add H2O2, nothing will happen to FeOH twice, FeOH thrice. Nothing will happen. So it will remain in the residue. FeOH thrice remains in the residue. And with H2O2 in basic medium, CrOH thrice is converted into CrO4 minus 2. Yellow colored. And AlOH thrice is converted into AlOH taken 4 times minus. So now this is the filtrate. Now FeOH thrice is separated. Now if you want to confirm it, then you can treat first with HNO3, which converts this FeOH thrice into Fe plus 3. That Fe plus 3 is brought into solution. So that you can do further tests. Now if you add K4 FeCN6 to this, you will get Fe4 FeCN6 thrice, and it is blue colored PPT, and with this Fe plus 3 is confirmed. Now to this if you add Pb plus 2, Ba plus 2 for example, if you add Ba plus 2, then you will get BaCrO4, which is yellow in color, and you will have the filtrate, and that filtrate contains AlOH taken 4 times minus, and to this if you add NH4Cl, slight acidification, then you will get AlOH thrice PPT, white gelatinous PPT, that is AlOH thrice. But you know, if you make it too much acidic, then you will get Al plus 3, and Al plus 3 is colorless. You won't see any color change, no precipitate, nothing. And you, how do you know, how do you confirm that Al plus 3 is there? So that is the reason here we make it slightly acidic, so that AlOH4 minus is just converted into AlOH thrice, not into Al plus 3. We should not go to that stage, and it is useless. So carefully if you add NH4Cl, yes, then you will get white PPT of AlOH thrice. So Fe plus 3 separated, confirmed, Cr plus 3 separated and confirmed, and Al plus 3 separated and confirmed, both simultaneously. We have been doing that only. In all the cases, previous all the cations, we did the same thing, separation as well as identification. Okay, now we can proceed with filtrate 4. Now to this filtrate, let me add H2S in the presence of NH4OH. Adding H2S in basic medium. So what happens here, you will get a residue, and that residue contains group 4 cations. One is NIS, second one is COS, third one MNS, and fourth one ZNS. MNS pink in color, ZNS white in color, and the other two black in color. And you will get the filtrate 5, and with that we will move on to the 5th group. Now I won't talk anything about that filtrate 5. That filtrate 5 contains Ba plus 2, Ca plus 2, Sr plus 2, Na plus, K plus, Mg plus 2. We will talk about them later. Now come to the residue. Now you dissolve this mixture in HCl. I told you at the beginning of this discussion, one sulfide, HGS, is not soluble in HCl, not soluble in HNO3 even. That is only soluble in aqua resin. But majority of the sulfides are soluble in HNO3, although they are not soluble in HCl. But there are some sulfides which are even soluble in HCl. Redox driving force is not necessary for them. Only acid-base driving force is sufficient. So when you treat this residue with HCl, you will get the again residue and filtrate. And this filtrate contains, that means those sulfides which are not soluble in HCl. One is NiS and second one is COS. And this, this is filtrate. So those sulfides which are soluble. So you will get Mn plus 2 and Zn plus 2. Now here you will get NiS and you will get COS. And if you come to filtrate, this is the residue. Now if you come to filtrate, then to this filtrate you add NaBiO3 in alkaline medium. This Mn plus 2 is converted into MnO4 minus, which is purple in color. Sodium bismuthate, PbO2, NaOCl, Na2S2O8. Let me repeat: sodium bismuthate, NaBiO3, NaOCl, hypochlorite, then Na2S2O8, peroxodisulfate ion, PbO2, lead dioxide. These compounds can oxidize Mn plus 2 to Mn plus 7. So you will get purple color, so Mn plus 2 separated as well as confound. Now to the same solution, if or otherwise you can do one thing. Actually here if you want to separate these two, then first let us not add NaBiO3 actually. First let me add ammonia, NaOH you can say. To this filtrate let me add NaOH. So you will get MnOOH twice. First you will get MnOH twice, but that is readily oxidized to the black colored MnO2. And MnO2, actually the composition of MnO2 is actually this one. And you see all of you in this Mn oxidation state is plus 4. So it is already oxidized. First you will get MnOH twice, but that gets oxidized by atmospheric air. And you will get MnO2. Or MnOOH twice. Plus ZnOH twice. And if you add excess NaOH here, suppose if you add NaOH excess, then you can write it like this: ZnOH taken 4 times minus 2. Now this is the filtrate and this is the residue. Yes, I think this is better. Okay. To this, if you add now the NaBiO3 and medium basic, then you will get MnO4 minus, and that is purple in color. So now it is separated. Now to this ZnOH taken 4 times minus 2, first you add acetic acid, then that complex is converted into Zn plus 2, free Zn plus 2. Now you add NH4 twice S to this, you will get a white colored PPT, that is ZnS. Now like this you can separate. That means instead of adding directly the NaBiO3, because in such case separation will not be possible. So first I have added excess NaOH. With that excess NaOH, Zn is remaining in the filtrate, and MnOOH twice will come into the residue. Then I will convert that into Mn plus 7. So manganese is confirmed. To that filtrate, let me first add an acid. Let me break that complex. Let me get that Zn plus 2 free. Then you add S minus 2. H2S in basic medium or otherwise NH4 twice S, then you will get ZnS, which is white in color. So both confirmed as well as separated. You know, ZnS is the only white colored sulfide, confirmed. And MnO4 minus purple color after adding NaBiO3. So Mn plus 2 is confirmed. Okay. Now if you come to this NiS and COS, let me write about that particular residue here. So we have the residue that contains NiS and COS. Now to this particular residue, let me add HNO3. So you know both are soluble in HNO3, so you will get Ni plus 2 as well as CO plus 2. Now Na plus 2 can be conformed by adding DMGH minus. You will get a red colored precipitate NiDMGH twice. Red colored complex. Red colored precipitate in fact. So Na plus 2 is separated. And to the remaining filtrate, because when you add DMGH, cobalt does not give any precipitate. So CO plus 2 will remain in the solution. So now to that filtrate, if you add SCN minus, then you will get a blue colored complex, that is COSCN 4 times minus 2. This is not a precipitate actually. We are adding SCN minus only to confirm that CO plus 2. Whether CO plus 2 is present in the solution or not. Just to confirm it, we are adding SCN minus 2. And anyway, Na plus 2 is separated as a red colored complex. So group 4 cations, Na plus 2, CO plus 2, Mn plus 2 and Zn plus 2. All of them are separated and all of them are confirmed. And group 3 cations, Fe plus 3, Al plus 3 and Cr plus 3. They are separated as well as confirmed. Now we can proceed with that filtrate 5. We can move on to the group 5. Now let me proceed with filtrate 5. And this filtrate 5 contains Ba plus 2, Ca plus 2, Sr plus 2, Na plus, K plus, Mg plus 2. Now these are the cations present in filtrate 5. Now how do you confirm these cations? How do you separate them? Okay, first let me add to this filtrate NH4 thrice PO4 in the presence of NH4Cl. Ammonium phosphate and ammonium chloride. Barium, calcium, strontium and magnesium, they get precipitated as phosphates. Sodium and potassium will remain in the filtrate. So from this you will get filtrate 6, and we will see about that filtrate 6 later. Now you will have residue, and thus that residue contains Ba3PO4 twice, Mg3PO4 twice, even magnesium also, Sr3PO4 twice, and Ca3PO4 twice, calcium phosphate. Now these are the phosphates. These are the compounds present in the residue. Now this filtrate contains Na plus and K plus. So we will discuss about that later. Now first, all are white in color and conformation as well as separation. Okay. Now first let me add to this particular residue an acid, a mineral acid, suppose acetic acid, and Na2CrO4. Now what happens actually when you add acetic acid, all these phosphates are soluble in acetic acid. Phosphate ion is the conjugate base of a weak acid. So phosphates, sulfides, cyanides, oxalates, generally these compounds are soluble in acids. Maybe one or two few exceptions may be there, but generally these particular salts are soluble in acids. So here also same thing. Now we have added Na2CrO4 also to, along with acetic acid. So what happens to the filtrate, into the filtrate, Mg plus 2 comes, magnesium phosphate is quite soluble in acetic acid, Ca plus 2 comes and Sr plus 2 comes, but Ba plus 2 will go into again precipitate, and that is barium chromate, and barium chromate is yellow in color and that is conformed as well as separated. But calcium chromate, magnesium chromate and strontium chromate, they are relatively more soluble. Magnesium chromate is quite soluble, even calcium chromate is also quite soluble. Solubility of chromates of second group elements decreases down the road. So barium chromate is quite insoluble. Strontium chromate is relatively more soluble. So strontium will come into the filtrate and barium go into the precipitate. So now to this we add H2SO4. Now all of you know, out of these three sulfates, SrSO4 is insoluble. So you will get SrSO4 precipitate, white in color. So both conformed as well as separated. You all know calcium sulfate and magnesium sulfate cause permanent hardness. Very simple. If calcium sulfate and magnesium sulfate were insoluble salts, how would they cause permanent hardness? So magnesium sulfate and calcium sulfate are quite soluble salts. As a result, they are able to cause hardness. Whatever the hardness, whatever may be the type of hardness, permanent or temporary. Those salts of calcium and magnesium which can cause hardness are quite soluble in water. So calcium and magnesium sulfates are soluble, so they won't get precipitated, and the filtrate contains Ca plus 2 and Mg plus 2, and the residue contains SrSO4. This is the residue. So white colored PPT. Okay, now to this filtrate you can add an oxalate salt, C2O4 minus 2, any soluble oxalate, and calcium oxalate is insoluble, and you will get a white precipitate. Solubility of oxalates of group 2 elements increases down the road. So calcium oxalate is quite insoluble. Barium, strontium oxalates are relatively more soluble. Okay, and magnesium oxalate is also soluble. So we have CaC2O4 white in color, and then the filtrate contains Mg plus 2. And this Mg plus 2 can be confirmed by adding a reagent which is called as magneson, and it gives blue colored solution. And I will give you the structure of magneson a little later. So Mg plus 2 can be confirmed with the help of magneson reagent, that is, and the resultant color is blue. So Mg plus 2 is confirmed as well as separated, and Ca plus 2 is separated in the form of oxalate. Okay. Now, if you come to filtrate 6, now this contains Na plus and K plus. Now to this particular solution, if you add zinc uranyl acetate, zinc uranyl acetate, the filtrate which contains Na plus as well as K plus. Now Na plus gives an yellow colored PPT with that particular reagent, zinc uranyl acetate, and I will give you the formula of that. Zn plus 2 plus UO2 plus 2, that means uranium is in plus 6 oxidation state, plus acetate ion CH3COO minus, and with this you will get Na, Zn, UO2 thrice, CH3COO taken 9 times, and this is yellow in color. So Na plus is confirmed, and you know, to the same filtrate, if you add a complex, that is Na3CO NO2 taken 6 times, you will get a yellow colored PPT K3CO NO2 taken 6 times, and it is yellow in color. So with zinc uranyl acetate you will get yellow PPT, Na plus is confirmed. With that cobalt nitrate complex you will get yellow PPT, and with that potassium is confirmed. So Na plus will be separated in the form of a yellow colored PPT, and K plus is separated in the form of the same yellow colored PPT, but with different reagents. So Na plus is separated, K plus is also separated. Okay, now I told you already, actually I would discuss about this Magneson. Magneson reagent, actually in fact we have two Magneson reagents, Magneson 1 and Magneson 2. And Magneson 1 reagent, it is actually a dye, azo dye, benzene ring NO2. Here di-azo bond N and double bond N, and here we have OH, OH. And imagine actually which two compounds when combined will give you this Magneson 1. This is Magneson 1. One is resorcinol, meta-dihydroxybenzene, resorcinol. Another one is para-nitrodiazonium chloride. So on diazo coupling in slightly basic medium, do you remember OH containing compounds, they need slightly basic medium. NH2 containing compounds, they need slightly acidic medium for this diazo coupling, optimum conditions. So if you mix resorcinol and para-nitrobenzene diazonium chloride at a pH of 7 to 9, then you will get this compound. Now Magneson 2 reagent is there, it is also a similar reagent. We have NO2 and here N double bond N, and here we have benzene ring OH. So it is actually not a benzene ring, it is a naphthalene ring. So which two compounds upon combining you will give you this reagent? This is Magneson 2. This is also an example of diazo coupling. You will take alpha naphthal, not beta naphthal. This is alpha naphthal and this is para-nitrobenzene diazonium chloride. So resorcinol plus para-nitrobenzene diazonium chloride will give you Magneson 1. alpha naphthol and para-nitrobenzene diazonium chloride will give you magnesium 2. You know, with both reagents, magnesium gives blue color. Whether you add magnesium 1 or magnesium 2, magnesium gives blue color. And now you see whichever is finally left actually. We are having 6 cations and all the 6 cations are separated. Barium as chromate, strontium as sulfate, calcium as oxalate, and magnesium blue colored compounds with these 2 dyes, diazo compounds. And Na plus with as that zinc uranyl acetate compound, yellow colored, and potassium with that cobalt nitrate complex. So all the 6 cations are both conformed as well as separated. So you have seen the separation of cations, and you must have observed actually at the beginning I told you I am going to use only few reactions which you have studied in identification in this separation, and I have used only few. Now you revise the rest of the reactions. Suppose Fe plus 3 is there, I used only that K4FeCN6 Prussian blue, but you have so many other tests for Fe plus 3 that you need to revise. Zinc, aluminum, chromium, everything. For each cation I think I have used only one reaction, but for each cation we have studied at least 3 or 4 reactions. So you need to revise all of them, and you revise the anions. So dear children, cations, anions, if you put effort, if you revise it again and again, periodical revision, then you can aim for 100% marks in qualitative analysis. Generally in qualitative analysis, comprehension based questions are asked. So if you can crack one roadmap question, you will get at least the marks of 2 questions or 3 questions sometimes. So be careful all of you. So read it properly, thoroughly.